Back again. I'm back again. All right, everybody. Welcome again to my channel. This is Trev from Trevessence, and this morning we are going to continue the reading of the book Spare, written by Prince Harry. Now, for those of you who have been here with us since we started reading this book just about a week or two ago, I hope you have been enjoying it as much as I've been enjoying reading it with you, for us, to us. I am fascinated. I love this book and I hope you are enjoying it, my friends. For those of you who are new to my channel, I want to say thank you so much for stopping by. And to all my returning travelers, I want to say thank you for your continued support. Now we are going to continue reading the book Spare. We are on to chapter 77. Good morning, sis. How you doing? How you doing? Good to see you. Thank you so much for waking up with me. You know I'm late this morning, right? And you know why. We're not going to tell the world, but you know why. Oh my God, that little bit of something knocked me all the way out. When I woke up, I realized it was late. I slept through the alarm at 4 o'clock. I tell you, didn't hear the alarm at 5. Was too groggy to jump up at 6. Oh boy, but that's about it for Valentine's Day for me. So we are going to move on. I'm going to read the last chapter, not chapter, the last paragraph of the last chapter, so at least you all catch on with where we are right now. And in chapter 76, it said, I lifted her onto my shoulders, and together the four of us watched, danced, sang, and celebrated being alive. It was my 30th birthday. Chapter 77. Shortly after the games, I informed the palace that I'd be leaving the army. Elf and I worked on the public announcement. It was hard to get the words just right to explain it to the public. Maybe because I was having trouble explaining it to myself. In hindsight, I see that it was a hard decision to explain because it wasn't a decision at all. It was just time. But time for what exactly, besides leaving the army? From now on, I'd be something I'd never been, a full-time royal. How would I even do that? And was that what I wanted to be? In a long time of existential crisis, this was a bugger. Who are you when you can no longer be the thing you have always been, the thing I've trained to be? Then one day, I thought I glimpsed the answer. It was a crisp Tuesday near the Tower of London. I was standing in the middle of the street, and suddenly here he came, yumping down the road. Young Ben, the soldier with whom I had flown back from Afghanistan in 2008. The soldier I had visited and cheered as he climbed a wall with his new prosthetic leg. 6 years after that fight, as promised, he was running a marathon. Not the London Marathon, which would have been miraculous on its own. He was running his own marathon along a route he had designed himself, in the outline of a poppy laid over the city of London. A staggering 31 miles, he had done the full circuit to raise money and awareness and heart rates. I'm in shock, he said on finding me there. You are in shock, I said. That makes two of us. Seeing him out there, still being a soldier, despite no longer being a soldier, that was the answer to the riddle with which I had been struggling for so long. Question: how do you stop being a soldier when a soldier is all you have ever been or wanted to be? Answer, you don't. Even when you stop being a soldier, you don't have to stop being a soldier ever. Let's move on to chapter 78. Even when you stop being a soldier, you don't have to stop being a soldier. Even when you stop being a grown up, you don't have to stop being a child. Something like that. I don't know. God, what's up? How are you doing? Happy Wednesday, guys. It's the morning after Valentine's, and I know a lot of there. I'm going to read, and then I'm going to run. I'm going to run down the street to CVS before all the morning after pills are gone. So we're gonna get this over with before I have to run. Okay, guys? All right. Let's move on to chapter 78. An Afghanistan war service at St. Paul's Cathedral, and then a reception at the Guildhall, hosted by the City of London Corporation, and then the launch of Walking with the Wounded, Walk of Britain, and then a visit to England's rugby team, and then watching them practice for a match against France, and then following them to Twickenham and cheering them on, and then a memorial for the Olympian Richard Meade, the most successful equestrian in British history, and then a trip with Pa to Turkey to attend ceremonies marking the 100th anniversary of Gallipoli, and then a meeting with descendants of the men who fought in that epic battle, and then back to London to hand out medals to runners at the London Marathon. That was the start of my 2015. Just the highlights. The papers were awash with stories about Willie being lazy, and the press had taken to calling him work shy Wills, which was obscene, grossly unfair, because he was busy having children and raising a family. Morning, Sister Amazing. How are you doing, my love? Good to see you, my darling. Happy Valentine's post day to you. Grant, Grant, you know, just put me to sleep. Yes, I'm going to run go get my morning after pills. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. Because everybody else is gonna be running to get it. So I'm running to get it too. Don't matter what I'm gonna do with it. I'm running to get it too. Shoot. Let's continue. Kate was pregnant again. Also, he was still beholden to Pa, who controlled the purse strings. He did as much as Pa wanted him to do, and sometimes that wasn't much, because Pa and Camilla didn't want Willie and Kate getting loads of publicity. Pa and Camilla didn't like Willie and Kate drawing attention away from them or their causes. They had openly scolded Willie about it many times. You are very welcome, my dear. You all are very welcomed. Case in point, Pa's press officer berated Willie's team when Kate was scheduled to visit a tennis club on the same day Pa was doing an engagement. Told that it was too late to cancel the visit, Pa's press officer warned, just make sure the Duchess doesn't hold a tennis racket in any of the photos. Such a winning, fetching photo would undoubtedly wipe Pa and Camilla off the front pages. And that, in the end, couldn't be tolerated. Willie told me that both he and Kate felt trapped and unfairly persecuted by the press and by Pa and Camilla. So I felt some need to carry the banner for all three of us in 2015. But selfishly, I also didn't want the press coming for me. To be called lazy? I shuddered. I never wanted to see that word attached to my name. The press had called me stupid for most of my life, and naughty, and racist. But if they dared to call me lazy, I couldn't guarantee I would and start pulling people out from behind their desks. I didn't understand until months later that there was even more reasons why the press was gunning for Willie. First, he had got them all worked up by ceasing to play their game, denying them unfettered access to his family. He had refused several times to trot Kate out like a prize racehorse, and that was considered a bridge too far. Then he had the temerity to go out and give a vaguely anti-British speech, anti-Brexit speech, which really galled them. Brexit was their bread and butter. How dare he suggest it was bullshit? Chapter 29. I went to Australia for a round of military exercises, and while there, I got word Willie and Kate had welcomed their second child, Charlotte. I was an uncle again, and very happy about it. But, predictably, during one interview that day or the next, a journalist questioned me about it as though I'd received a terminal diagnosis. No, mate, thrilled to bits. But you are further down in the line of succession. Couldn't be happier for Willie and Kate. The journalist pressed. Fifth in line. No, no longer even the spare of the spare. I thought, first of all, it's a good thing to be farther from the center of a volcano. Second, what kind of monster would think of himself and his place in the line of succession at such a time, rather than becoming and welcoming a new life into the world? I'd once heard a courtier say that when you were fifth or sixth in line, you were only a plane crash away. I couldn't imagine living that way. The journalist persisted. Didn't the birth make me question my choices? Choices? Isn't it time you settle down? Well, people are starting to compare you to Bridget Jones. I thought, are they really? Bridget Jones, hey! The journalist waited. It will happen, I assured him, or her. I can't recall the face, only the preposterous line of questioning. When, kind sir, do you plan to wife? It will happen when it happens, I said, the way you would assure a nagging auntie. Welcome into the live, guys. Hit that like button and share out the live if you have not yet done so. It is my absolute pleasure being here every morning and reading this book for you, with you, to you, and for us. I hope you all are enjoying it as much as I am enjoying bringing it to you. Lots and lots and lots of love coming from me and all the other travelers. Welcome, my family, Dalian. Present, Miss. Good morning, Delia. How are you doing, my love? How are you doing? Good to see you, as always. Let's continue. It will happen, I assured him or her. I can't recall the face, only the preposterous line of questioning. When, kind sir, do you plan to wife? It will happen when it happens, I said, the way you would assure a nagging auntie. The faceless journalist stared with abject pity. Will it, though? Chapter 80. People often speculated that I was clinging to my bachelor life because it was so glamorous. Many evenings I'd think, if only they could see me now. Then I'd go back to folding my underwear and watching the one with Monica and Chandler's wedding. Besides my own laundry, often laid out to dry on my radiators, I did my own chores, my own cooking, my own food shopping. There was a supermarket by the palace, and I went there casually, it at least once a week. Hey, Delia, how are you doing, my darling sister? Of course, I'd planned each trip out as carefully as a patrol around Musakala. I'd arrive at different times, randomly, to throw off the press. I'd wear a disguise, low baseball cap, loose coat. I'd run along the aisles at warp speed, grabbing the salmon fillets. I liked, the brand of yogurt I liked. I'd memorized the map of the store, plus a few Granny Smith apples and bananas, and of course, some crisps. Then I'd sprint to the checkout, just as I'd honed my pre-flight checklist in the Apache. I now honed my grocery shopping time down to 10 minutes. But one night I got to the shop and began to run up and down the aisles, and everything had moved. I hurried over to an employer. I hurried over to an employee. What's happened? Excuse me? Where is everything? Where is? Why has everything moved? Honestly? Yes, honestly. I keep people here longer so they'd buy more stuff. I was gobsmacked. Delia says, I'm glad to see that he lived a somewhat normal life. Well, kind of. Just that the store he was going to was right there at the palace. I mean, not like the store outside where everybody else goes. So that was only palace people who had been vetted and re-vetted and vetted again who were going to that store anyway. You can do that by law? A bit panicky, I resumed running up and down the aisles, filling my trolley as best I could, keeping an eye on the clock, then rushed to the checkout. That was always the trickiest part because there was no hounding the checkout. It all depended on others. More, the checkout counter stood right beside the news rack, which held every British tabloid and magazine, and half the front pages and magazine covers were photos of my family, or my mom, or me. More than once, I watched customers read about me, overheard them debating me. In 2015, overheard them frequently discussing whether or not I'd ever marry, whether or not I was happy, whether or not I might be gay. I was always tempted to tap them on the shoulder and say, hello. One night in disguise, watching some people discuss me and my life choices, I became aware of raised voices at the front of the queue. An older married couple abusing the cashier. It was unpleasant at first, then intolerable. I stepped forward, showed my face, cleared my throat. Excuse me, not sure what's going on here, but I don't think you should be speaking to her like that. The cashier was on the verge of tears. The couple abusing her turned and recognized me. They weren't in the least surprised, however. They just offended to be called out on their abuse. When they left, when it came my turn to pay, the cashier tried to thank me as she bagged my avocados. I couldn't, I wouldn't hear of it. I told her to hang in there, scooped up my things and ran like the Green Hornet. Hey, Delia. No talking about he cooked. Do his washing. Do his washing. Hang his clothes on the radiator. I know that's kind of apartment life. Hang your clothes on the radiator to dry. I know I lived in an apartment one time and I mean I was by myself. So when I wash the clothes, when I would go down to wash the clothes, I would bring them back up into my apartment to dry. Because it was like 50 cents for each drying cycle. And good Lord, one drying cycle was like 3 minutes. The clothes would never dry. Child, I took them upstairs, hang them over the back of the chairs, hang them over everything to dry because I couldn't. I couldn't. It was just too expensive. And back then, I could hardly afford gas in my car. Child, please. I could hardly afford gas. So I washed them and brought them right on up and hang them over everything. Put them on hangers and I ran a line across in the living room and hang them there to blow dry. Right? And I opened the balcony door and the wind came in. Yeah, it was Miami. Hey, what the heck? Let us continue. Welcome, Jordan. You would think they're royal, they would have it different. I mean, I bet he could, but I guess, I mean, As he said before, he he got what his grandma or his dad made him have. It's not like he had the choice to do everything he wanted to do all on his own. He needed permission, and if permission wasn't granted, then he couldn't do stuff. He had to get permission to do just about everything. For us, we don't need permission. I don't need permission from anybody to do anything. I get up and do it, win, lose, or draw. Yeah, but I just gotta get up and do it. I don't have to write my mom a letter and say, Mom, I'm planning on doing this. I don't have to call a secretary and say, could you please arrange with my mom? We gotta have a meeting tomorrow, yada yada you. No. But so I can imagine how difficult life was, especially when you are friends with people who have life quite differently. And you see like, wow, this is normal life. I thought my life was normal, having to ask for permission for everything. But here I am meeting with people who are living normal lives. I don't know what to do, how to assess my circumstance. And people are acting as though Harry writing this book is so different from our lives, just that we haven't put it in a book. Because if you meet somebody, yesterday was Valentine's Day, and I know there are lots of people who last night thought of their love life, thought of, oh my God, I don't even have anybody. And I see all these people on Instagram and on TikTok showing off the flowers and the chocolate that they got, and they're showing off their boo and they look so nice together and all of this. I'm sure there are people who are thinking that and asking themselves, why not me? Why can't I find a partner who is as kind and loving? And why couldn't I experience that kind of love on Valentine's Day? And you have to understand that everybody's circumstance is different. And the same way you are assessing your circumstance and comparing it to the circumstance of the people you see on TV, on the internet, is the same way with Harry. He's human. He's comparing his life with the lives of the people with whom he have been interacting, the people who are having normal lives and don't have to report to anybody and don't have to ask anybody for permission just to live their life. Okay, let us continue. Let us continue. We're going to read from the last paragraph again so that we don't lose track. When they left, when it all came my turn to pay, the cashier tried to thank me as she bagged my avocados. I wouldn't hear it. I told her to hang in there, scoop up my things, and ran like the Green Hornet. Shopping for clothes was so much less complicated. As a rule, I didn't think about clothing. I didn't fundamentally believe in fashion, and I couldn't understand why anybody would. I often got mocked on social media for my mismatched outfits, my ratty shoes. Writers would flag a photo of me and wonder why my trousers were so long, my shirts so crumbled. They didn't dream that I dried them on the radiator. Not very princely, they'd say. Right you are, I'd think. My father tried. He gave me an absolutely gorgeous pair of black brooks, works of art, weighed as much as bowling balls. I wore them until the soles developed holes, and when I was mocked for wearing holy shoes, I finally got them fixed. Each year, I received from Pa an official clothing allowance, but that was strictly for formal wear, suits and ties, ceremonial outfits. For my everyday casual clothes, I'd go to TK Maxx, the discount store. I was particularly fond of their once a year sale, when they'd be flush with items from Gap or J. Crew, items that had just gone out of season or were slightly damaged. If you timed it just right, got there on the first day of the sale, you could snag the same clothes that others were paying top prices for down the high street. With 200 quid with 200 quid, you could look like a fashion plate. Here, too, I had a system. Got to the shop 15 minutes before closing time, grab a red bucket, hurry to the top floor, begin systematically working up one rack and down another. If I found myself if I found something promising, I'd hold it up to my chest or legs, standing in front of a mirror. I never dabbled over color or style, and certainly never went anywhere near a changing room. If it looked nice, comfortable, into the bucket it went. If I was on the fence about it, I'd ask Billy the Rock. He delighted he delighted in moonlighting as my stylist. At closing time, we'd run out with two giant shopping bags, feeling triumphant. Now the papers wouldn't call me a slob, at least for a little while. For better, I wouldn't have to think about clothes again for another 6 months. Chapter 81. Other than the occasional shopping, I stopped going out in 2015. Stopped entirely. No more occasional dinners with mates. No more house parties. No clubs. No nothing. Every night I'd go straight home from work, eat over the sink, then catch up on paperwork. Friends on low in the background. Friends, that's the sitcom. Let's continue. Pa's chef would sometimes stock my freezer with chicken pies, cottage pies. I was grateful not to have to venture to the supermarket quite as much, though the pies sometimes put me in mind of the Gurkhas and their goat stew. Maybe because they were so unspicy. I missed the Gurkhas, missed the army. I missed the war. After dinner, I'd smoke a joint, trying to make sure the smoke didn't waft into the garden of my neighbor, the Duke of Kent. Then I'd turn in early. Solitary life, strange life. I felt lonely, but lonely was better than panicky. I was just beginning to discover a few healthy remedies to my panic, but until I felt surer of them, until I felt on more solid ground, I was leaning on this one decidedly unhealthy remedy: avoidance. I was an agoraphobe, which was nearly impossible given my public role. After one speech which couldn't be avoided or cancelled, and during which I'd nearly fainted, Willie came up to me backstage, laughing. Harold, look at you. You are drenched. I couldn't fathom his reaction. Him, of all people. He had been present for my very first panic attack with Kate. We were driving out to a polo match in Gloucester in their Range Rover. I was in the back and Willie peered at me in the rear view. He he saw me sweating, red-faced. You all right, Harold? No, I wasn't. It was a trip to several hours, and every few miles I wanted to ask him to pull over so I could jump out and try to catch my breath. He knew something was up, something bad. He had told me that day or soon thereafter that I needed help. And now he was teasing me? I couldn't imagine how he could be so insensitive. But I was at fault too. Both of us should have known better, should have recognized my crumbling emotional and mental state for what they were. Because we had just started to discuss the launching of a public campaign to raise awareness around mental health. Hey, Daily! Hey guys, welcome into the live. Thank you all so much for stopping by. If you are new here, a very, very special welcome to you. Don't forget to hit that like button, share out the stream, and if you like what I do over here on my channel, hit that subscribe button. And don't forget to turn on your notification bell so that whenever I upload a new video, you'll be first to get notified. Now, for those of you who have been with me for the last year or two, you know, on my channel, I do what I do. Yeah, it is about what I do. All right. I'm not great at editing and that kind of stuff, but I do it. I do it my way. Welcome, guys. Let us continue reading the book Spare by Prince Harry. We are on to chapter 82. I went to East London to Mild to Mildmay Mission Hospital to commemorate its 150th anniversary and recent renovations. My mother once paid the place a famous visit. She held the hand of who a man who was HIV positive and thereby changed the world. She proved that HIV wasn't leprosy, that it wasn't a curse. She proved that the disease didn't disqualify people from love and dignity. She reminded the world that respect and compassion aren't gifts, they are the least we owe each other. I learned that her famous visit had actually been one of many. A Mildmay worker pulled me aside, told me that Mummy would slip in and out of the hospital all the time. No fanfare, no photos. She'd just drop in, make a few people feel better, then run home. Another woman told me she had been a patient during one of her pop-ins. Born HIV positive, this woman remembered sitting on Mummy's lap. She was only 2 at the time, but she remembered. I cuddled her. Your mom. I did. My face flushed. I felt such envy. Did you? I did. I did. And oh, it was so nice. She gave a great cuddle. Yes, I remember, but I didn't. No matter how I tried, I barely remembered a thing. Chapter 83. I visited Botswana, spent a few days with Tej and Mike. I felt a craving for them, a physical need to go on a wander with Mike, to sit once more with my head on Tej's lap, talking and feeling safe, feeling home. The very end of 2015, I took them into my confidence, told them about my battles with anxiety. We were by the campfire, where such things were always best discussed. I told them I'd just recently found a few things that were sort of working. So there was hope. For instance, therapy. I'd followed through on Willie's suggestion, and while I hadn't found a therapist I liked, simply speaking to a few had opened my mind to possibilities. Hey guys! I know, Delia. Yes, sis, I know. Thank you so much, my dear. So there was hope. For instance, therapy. I'd followed through on Willie's suggestion, and while I hadn't found a therapist I liked, simply speaking to a few had opened my mind to possibilities. After one therapist said offhandedly that I was clearly suffering from post-traumatic stress, and that rang a bell. It got me moving, I thought, in the right direction. Another thing that seemed to work was meditation. It quietened my racing mind, brought a degree of calm. I wasn't one to pray. Nature was still my God. But in my worst moments, I'd shut my eyes and be still. Sometimes I'd also ask for help, though I was never sure whom I was asking. Now and then I felt the presence of an answer. Psychedelics did me some good as well. I'd experimented with them over the years for fun, but now I'd begun to use them therapeutically, medicinally. They didn't simply allow me to escape reality for a while, they let me redefine reality. Under the influence of these substances, I was able to let go of rigid preconceptions, to see that there was another world beyond my heavily filtered senses, a world that was equally real and doubly beautiful, a world with no red mist, no reason for red mist. There was only truth. After the psychedelics wore off, my memory of that world would remain. This is not all there. All the great seers and philosophers say our daily life is an illusion. I always felt the truth in that, but how reassuring it was after nibbling a mushroom or ingesting ayahuasca. Oh, I've never heard of that one. Ayahuasca. Hmm. To experience it for myself. The one remedy that proved most effective, however, was work, helping others, doing some good in the world, looking outward rather than in. That was the path. Africa and Invictus. These had long been the causes closest to my heart. But now I wanted to dive in deeper. Over the last year or so, I'd spoken to helicopter pilots, veterinary surgeons, rangers, and they all told me that a war was on, a war to save the planet. War, you say? Sign me up. One more problem, Willie. Africa was his thing, he said, and he had the right to say this, or felt he did, because he was the heir. It was ever It was ever in his power to veto my things, and he had every intention of exercising, even flexing, that veto power. Welcome into the live, guys. Thank you so much for coming. We are reading the book Spare, written by Prince Harry. One small problem, Willie. Africa was his thing, he said, and he had the right to say things, or felt he did, because he was the heir. It was it was ever in his power to veto my thing, and he had every intention of exercising, even flexing that veto power. We had some real rows about it. I told Tej and Mike. One day, we almost came to blows in front of our childhood mates, the sons of Emily and Hugh. One of the sons asked, "Why can't you both work on Africa?" Willie had a fit, flew at his flew at the son for dark. Willie had a fit, flew at the son for daring to make such a suggestion. Because rhinos, elephants, that's mine. It was all so obvious. He cared less about finding his purpose or passion than than about winning his lifelong competition with me. I don't know why that part felt like that. But if you think rhinos and elephants are his, that explains the monarch anyway. They just run around and grab and own everything. Everything and everywhere. They've been doing this for hundreds of years and still own all the things that don't belong to them. But anywho, let's continue. It was all so obvious. He cared less about finding his purpose or passion than about winning his lifelong competition with me. Over several more heated discussions, it emerged that Willie, when I'm gone to the North Pole, had sadly been resentful. He had felt slighted that he hadn't been the one invited. At the same time, he also said that he had stepped aside gallantly, that he had permitted me to go. Indeed, that he had permitted all my work with wounded soldiers. I let you have veterans. You can't go. You can't. I can't with these people. I let you have veterans. Why can't you let me have African elephants and rhinos? Like seriously. Really? You heard that, guys? So it's almost like William has given Harry permission to do what Harry does. Let's read that part again. I let you have veterans. Why can't you let me have African elephants and rhinos? I complained to Tej and Mike that I'd finally seen my path, that I'd finally hit upon things that could fill the hole in my heart left by soldiering. In fact, a thing even more sustainable, and Willie was standing in my way. They were aghast. Keep fighting, they said. There's room for both of you in Africa. There's need for you both. So, with their encouragement, I embarked on a 4-month fact-finding trip to educate myself about the truth of the Ivory War. Botswana, Namibia, Tanzania, South Africa. I went to Kruger National Park, a vast stretch of dry, barren land the size of Israel. In the war on poaching, Kruger was the absolute front line. Its rhino populations, both black and white, were plummeting due to armies of poachers being incentivized by Chinese and Vietnamese crime syndicates. One rhino horn fetched enormous sums, so for every poacher arrested, 5 more were ready to take their place. Black rhinos were rarer, thus more valuable. They were also more dangerous. As browsers, they lived in thick bush, and wading in after them could be fatal. They didn't know you were there to help. I'd been charged a few times, and I was lucky to get away without being gored. Tip: always know the location of the nearest tree branch because you might need to jump onto it. I held friends who had not been so lucky. He was talking about his big brother. Is he? Yes, yes, that's who he was talking about. White rhinos were more docile and more plentiful, but perhaps wouldn't be for long because of that docility. As grazers, they also lived in open grassland, easier to see, easier to shoot. I went along on countless anti-poaching patrols. Over several days in Kruger, we always got there too late. I must have seen 40 bullet-riddled rhino carcasses. Poachers, on other hand, Poachers in other parts of Africa, I learned, didn't always shoot the rhinos. Bullets were expensive, and gunshots gave away their position. So they'd dart a rhino with a tranquilizer, then take the rhino while the rhino was sleeping. The rhino would wake up with no face, then stumbled into the bush to die. Oh my God, how cruel. I assisted on one long surgery on a rhino named Hope, repairing her face, patching the exposed membranes inside the hole that once cradled her horn. It left me and the whole surgical team traumatized. We all wondered if that was the right thing for the poor girl. She was in so much pain, but we just couldn't let her go. Chapter 84. In a helicopter over Kruger one morning, we flew in long loopy circles, searching for the telltale signs. Suddenly, I spotted the most telltale sign of all. There, I said, vultures. We quickly descended. Clouds of vultures took flight as we touched the ground. We jumped out, saw frantic footprints in the dust, shell casings glinting in the sun, blood everywhere. We followed the trail into the bush and found a huge white rhino, a gaping hole where her horn had been hacked. There were wounds all along her back, 15 craters by my count. Her 6-month-old baby lay beside her, dead. We pieced together what had happened. Poachers had shot the mother. She and her baby had run. The poachers chased them to this spot. The mother was still able to defend or shield her baby. So the poachers hacked her spine with axes, immobilized her while she was still alive, bleeding out. They hadn't. No, they had taken her horn. Oh my God. Oh my. That's so painful, I can't imagine. I couldn't speak. The sun beat down from a hot blue sky. My bodyguard asked the ranger which was killed first, the baby or the mother. Hard to say. I asked, do you think the poachers are close by? Can we find them? Impossible. Even if they were in the area, a needle in a haystack. Hey, Winsam, how are you doing? Good morning, my sister. We are on to chapter 85 of Spare. We have read 63% of Spare so far. In Namibia, crossing the northern desert in search of desert rhinos, I met an amiable doctor who was tracking desert lions. They were heavily persecuted in that part of Namibia because they often encroached on farmland. The doctor was darting some to study their health and movements. He took our number told us he'd call if he found one. That night we made camp by a dry stream. Everyone else was in tents, in trucks, but I unrolled my mat by the fire and covered myself with a thin blanket. Everyone on my team thought I was joking. This area is full of lions, boss. I told them I'd be fine. Done it a million times. Around midnight, the radio buzzed. The doctor, he was 4 kilometers away, and he had just darted 2 lions. We jumped into the Land Cruiser, raced down the track. Namibian soldiers assigned to us by the government insisted on coming as well, as did the local police in the area. Despite the pitch darkness, we found the doctor easily. He was standing beside 2 enormous lions. Both were lying on their bellies, heads resting heavily on their giant paws. He aimed his torch. He aimed his torch. We could see the lion's chest rising and falling. Quiet breathing. I knelt beside the female, touched her skin, looked at her half-closed amber eyes. I can't explain it, and I can't defend it, but I felt that I knew her. As I stood, one of the Namibian soldiers brushed past me, crouched beside the other lion, a big male. The soldier held up his AK-47, asked one of his buddies to get a photo, as if he had made a kill. I was about to say something, but Willie the Rock beat me to it. He told the Namibian soldier to get the fuck away from the lion. Suddenly, the soldier slunk away. I turned now to say something to the doctor. There was a flash. I turned again to see where it had come from. Which soldier had shot this phone camera and heard the men gasp. I looked back. The lioness was standing before me, resurrected. She stumbled forward. It's okay, the doctor said. It's okay. She fell again, right at my feet. Good night, sweet princess. I looked left. I looked right. No one was near me. The soldiers had all raced back to their trucks. The one with the AK-47 was rolling up the window. Then Billy the Rock had taken a half step back. The doctor said, sorry about that. Don't be. We returned to camp. Everyone climbed into their tents, their trucks, except me. I sat by the campfire. I returned to my mat by the fire. You are joking, they all said. What about the lions? We just saw proof that there are lions out here, boss. Poof, trust me, that lioness isn't going to hurt anybody. In fact, she's probably watching over us. Chapter 86. Back to America. With two good mates. January 2016. My mate Thomas was dating a woman who lived in Los Angeles, so our first stop was her house. She gave a welcome party, invited a small group of friends over. Everyone was on the same page about alcohol. In other words, committed to consuming large amounts in a short time. Where we didn't agree was which type. The typical Brit, I asked for a gin and tonic. Hell no, the American said, laughing. You are in the States now, pal. Have a real drink. Have a tequila. I was familiar with tequila, but mostly club tequila, late night tequila. What I was being offered now was proper tequila, fancy schmancy tequila, and I was being schooled in all the many ways of drinking it. Glasses were floating towards me, containing tequila in every form. Neat, rocks, margarita, splash of soda, and lime. I drank it all, every drop, and started feeling very bloody good. I thought, I like these Americans. I like them a lot. Strange time to be pro-American. Most of the world wasn't, certainly not Britain. Many Brits despised the American war in Afghanistan and resented being dragged into it. With some of the anti-American sentiment run with some of the American sentiments run very hot, I was reminded of my childhood when people warned me all the time about Americans. Too loud, too rich, too happy, too confident, too direct, too honest. Nah, I always thought Yanks didn't beat about the bush, didn't fill the air with polite snorts and throat clearings before coming to the point. Whatever was on their mind, they'd spit it out like a sneeze. And while that could be problematic at times, I usually found it preferable to the alternative. No one saying what they truly felt. No one wanting to hear how you felt. I'd experienced that at 12 years old. I experienced it even more now that I was 31. I floated through that day on a pink cloud of tequila fumes. No, floated is wrong. I piloted the pink cloud, and after I landed it, textbook landing, by the way, I woke with no hangover. A miracle. The next day, or the day after, we moved for some reason. We went from the house of Thomas's girlfriend to the house of Courtney Cox. She was a friend of Thomas's girlfriend and had more rooms. Also, she was traveling on a job and didn't mind if we crashed at her place. No complaints from me. As a Friends fanatic, the idea of crashing at Monica's was highly appealing and assuming. But then Courtney turned up. I was very confused. Was her job cancelled? I didn't think it was my place to ask. More, does this mean we have to leave? She smiled. Of course not, Harry. Plenty of room. Great. But I was still confused because she was Monica. Remember Courtney Cox played Monica on Friends? That much I know. And guess how I know it? Just by reading this book. Because I've never watched Friends. Oh my gosh. And I was a Chandler. I wondered if I'd ever work up the courage to tell her. Was there enough tequila in California to get me that brave? Soon after arriving home, Courtney invited some people over. Another party began. And among the newcomers was a bloke who looked familiar. Actor, my mate said. Yes, I know he's an actor. What's his name? My mate couldn't remember. I went over and talked to the actor. He was a friendly sort, and I liked him straight away. I still couldn't place his face or call his name up, but his voice was even more vexingly familiar. I whispered to my mate, Where do we know this guy from? My mate laughed. Batman? Sorry, Batman? I was into my third or fourth tequila, so I was having trouble understanding and processing this remarkable bit of new information. Hey, Courtian, how are you doing, my loves? So good to see you. Thank you so much for coming. I sincerely appreciate you. Sister Winsome, how are you doing? Thank you so much for coming, guys. I am enjoying reading this book, and I hope you're enjoying listening to it as well. I was into my third or fourth tequila, so I was having trouble understanding and processing this remarkable bit of new information. Fuck yes, Batman, Lego movie. I turned back to the actor and asked, Is it true? Is what true? Are you him? Am I? Batman, he smiled, yes. What a thing to be able to say. I begged, do it. Do what? The voice. He shut his eyes. He wanted to say no, but he didn't want to be impolite, or else he recognized that I wouldn't stop. He fixed me with his ice blue eyes and cleared his throat, and in perfect, gravely Batmanese said, Hello, Harry. Oh, I loved it. Again, he did it again. I loved it even more. We shared a big laugh. Then, maybe to get rid of us, he led my mate and me to the fridge, from which he extracted a soft drink. While the door was open, we spotted a huge box of black diamond mushroom chocolates. Someone behind me said they were for everybody. Help yourselves, boys. My mate and I grabbed several, gobbled them, washed them down with tequila. We waited for Batman to indulge as well, but he didn't. Not this thing or something. How would you like that? We said. This bloke just sent us by ourselves into the fucking Batcave. We took ourselves inside, sat down by the pit fire, and waited. I remember after a time standing up and wandering back into the house to use the loo. It was hard to navigate the house with an angular modern furniture and clean glass surfaces. Also, there weren't many lights on, but in time I managed to find a loo. Lovely room, I thought, shutting the door. I looked all around. Beautiful hand soaps, clean white towels, exposed wood beams, mood lighting. Leave it to the Yanks because the toilet was a round silver bin, the kind with a foot pedal to open the lid. I stared at the bin. It stared back. What? What staring? Then it became a head. I stepped on the pedal and the head opened its mouth. A huge open grin. You know he's talking about the toilet, right? I laughed, turned away, and took a piss. Now the loo became a head too. The ball was its gaping maw. The hinges of the seat were its piercing silver eyes. It said, ah. I finished pissing, flushed, and closed its mouth. I turned back to the silver bin, stepped on the pedal, fed it an empty packet of cigarettes from my pocket. Open wide. Ah, thank you, mate. You are welcome, mate. I left the bathroom, giggling, and walked straight into my mate. What's so funny? I told him he needed to walk into that loo right now and have the experience of a lifetime. Thank you so much, Carl. Remind them for me, please. What experience? Can't describe it. You have to see it for yourself. Meeting Batman pales by comparison. He was wearing a big puffer jacket with a furry collar, exactly like the one I'd worn to the North and South Poles. Without taking it off, he walked into the loo. I went to make myself another tequila. Minutes later, my mate appeared at my side. His face was white as a sheet. What happened? Don't want to talk about it. Tell me. My puffer jacket became a dragon. A dragon? In the loo? And tried to eat me. Oh dear. You sent me into a dragon's lair. Shit. Sorry, mate. My delightful trip had been his hell. Now, how unfortunate, how interesting. I led him outside gently, told him it would all be okay. Thank you for coming, guys. I am enjoying this so immensely, and I hope you all are enjoying it too. We're on to chapter 87, and he's now at 2016, and I am excited because it's around this time that he meets Megan. And so I am excited. So forgive me if this morning I read a little longer than I usually do because I'm super excited, guys. And I got only 3 places to go today and 3 videos to shoot today. So therefore, I got a little bit of time to read. So let's go. Chapter 87. The next day, we went to another house party inland, though the air still smelled like ocean. More tequila, more names thrown at me, and more mushrooms. We all started playing some sort of game, some sort of charades, I think. Someone handed me a joint. Lovely. I took a hit, looked at the rinsed creamy blue of the California sky. Someone tapped me on the shoulder, said they wanted me to meet Christina Aguilera. Oh, hello, Christina. She looked rather mannish. No, apparently it's misheard. I'd misheard. It wasn't Christina Aguilera. It was the guy who co-wrote one of her songs, Genie in a Bottle. Did I know the lyrics? Did he tell me the lyrics? I'm a genie in a bottle. You gotta rub me the right way. Is that how that song go? I don't know. I don't know, guys. But it's right here. I'm a genie in a bottle. You gotta rub me the right way. I know some of y'all got rubbed the right way last night. Huh. Waking up this morning and running to Walgreens and running to the pharmacy to go get the morning after. Hmm. Or y'all gonna wait to see, and then the next 6 weeks you say, oops, it's too late. And then November, I'm gonna be the godmama for all of this. Oh, really? All right. We'll see. We'll talk about this in the summer when I'm reaping my beans. All right. Let's continue. Anyway, anywho, anyway, he had made a boatland from those lyrics and now lived in high style. Good for you, mate. I left him, set off across the yard, and the memory trails away for a time. I seem to remember yet another house party that day. The next, eventually, somehow, we made our way back to Monica's, that is, Courtney's. It was night. I walked down some stairs to her beachfront and stood with my toes in the ocean, watching the lacy surf come forward, recede, come forward, recede, for what felt like ages. I looked from the water to the skies, back and forth. Then I stared directly at the moon. It was speaking to me. Like the bin and the toilet. What was it saying? That the year ahead would be good. Good how? Something big. Really? Big? Not more of a, not more of the same? No, something special. Really, Moon? Really? Promise? Please don't lie to me. I was nearly the age of Pa. I was nearly the age Pa had been when he had gotten married, and he had been considered a tragically late bloomer. At 32, he had been ridiculed for his inability or unwillingness to find a partner. I was staring 32 right in the face. Something has to change. Please, it will. I opened my mouth to the sky, to the moon, to the future. Ah, and here is a picture. Is this him and Megan kissing? I don't know, but I'm gonna. Oh, you all are not seeing. I forgot that you all are not seeing. But anyway, there's a picture of him, and the person looks like Megan. He's wearing, is it a towel or a kilt or something of that sort? I'm gonna put this picture on the thumbnail for this, and then you will see what I'm talking about. Let me just screenshot this picture here. I can't make you see how rugged I'm looking, guys. I can't make you see. You all know what happened to me last night, you know? All right, so I'm going to put this picture on the thumbnail so you all will be able to see it. It looks like a picture of him and Megan. Looks like. But the way they are set, I don't know if it is her, but I think it is because it's around this time that they met. Uh-oh, what happened here? All right. And now we are on to part 3, Captain of My Soul. And I think that is the picture of him and Megan for real, because it's about this time that they met. Hey, AG, welcome, AG. What's up, my brother? Part 3, Chapter 1 of Spare by Prince Harry. And I know you all are just as captivated as I am about this book, so I can't stop reading. Chapter 1. I was sitting around Notcott, scrolling through Instagram. In my feed, I saw a video, my friend Violet and a young woman. They were playing with a new app that put silly filters on your photos. Violet and the woman had dog ears, dog noses, long red dog tongues hanging out. Despite the canine cartoon overlay, I sat up straighter. This woman with Violet, my God. I watched the video several times, then forced myself to put down the phone, then picked it up again, watched the video again. I traveled the world from top to bottom, literally. I'd hopscotched the continents. I'd met hundreds of thousands of people. I'd crossed paths with a ludicrously large cross section of the planet's 7 billion residents. For 32 years, I'd watched a conveyor belt of faces pass by, and only a handful ever made me look twice. This woman stopped the conveyor belt. This woman smashed the conveyor belt to bits. I'd never seen anyone so beautiful. Why should beauty feel like a punch in the throat? Does it have to does it have something to do with our innate human longing for order? Who is texting me now? Hold your horses, brother. Hold your horses. I will get to you in a minute. All right. I'm reading now, so I can't check that text. Does it have, let's do that again. I'd never seen anyone so beautiful. Why should beauty feel like a punch in the throat? Does it have anything to do with our innate human longing for order? Isn't that what scientists say and artists? That beauty is symmetry and therefore represents a relief from the chaos. Maybe my life to that point had been chaotic. I can't deny hungering for order, can't deny seeking a bit of beauty. I'd just come back from a trip with Pa, Willie, and Kate to France, where we had marked the anniversary of the Battle of the Somme, honored the British dead, and I had read a haunting poem. Before Action. It was published by a soldier who, days before he had died in action, it it was published by a soldier 2 days before he had died in action. It ended, "Help me to die, O Lord." And with that, guys, I'm going to look up that poem. Stand by me while I look up that poem. It's called Before Action. You know I like to take you out to the spots. Before Action poem. Before Action. William Noel Hodgson, MC, was an English poet during the First World War and poems under the pen name Edward Melbourne. All right, this is the poem Before Action. Let me see if I can read it for you. Before action. By all the glories of the day and the cool evening's benison, by that last sunset touch that lay upon the hills when day was done, by beauty lavishly outpoured and blessings carelessly received, by all the days that I have lived, make me a soldier, Lord. By all of man's hopes and fears and all the wonders poets sing, the laughter of unclouded years, and why it keeps going in and out? Come on. Why it keeps going blurred and unblurred? By all of man's hopes and fears and all the wonders poets sing, the laughter of unclouded years and every sad and lovely thing, by the romantic ages stored with high endeavor that was his, by all his mad catastrophes, make me a man, O Lord. I, that on my unfamiliar hill saw the uncomprehending eyes, 100 of thy sunset spills, their fresh and sanguine sacrifice. Ere the sun swings his noonday word. I don't like this poem. But anyway, it is his poem. Must say goodbye to all of this, by all delights that I shall miss. Help me to die, O Lord. William Noel Hodgson. All right, that was his poem. That was his words put together and me butchering. All right, let's continue. Let us continue. Let us continue, guys. Thanks for staying with me in my natural state. Okay, let us continue. A fairly staggering revelation for me just then. But this woman's beauty, and by response to it, wasn't based merely on symmetry. There was an energy about her, a wild joy and playfulness. There was something in the way she smiled, the way she interacted with Violet, the way she gazed into the camera, confident, free. She believed life was one grand adventure. I could see that. What a privilege it would be, I thought, to join her on that journey. I got all of that from her face, her luminous, angelic face. I'd never had a firm opinion on that burning question. Is there just one person on this earth for each of us? But in that moment, I felt there might be only one face for me, this one. I sent Violet a message. Who is this woman? She answered straight away. Yeah, I've had 6 other guys ask me. Great, I thought. Who is she, Violet? Actress. She's in a TV show called Suits. It was a drama about lawyers. The woman played a young paralegal. American? Yeah. What's she doing in London? Here for the tennis. What's she doing at Ralph Lauren? Violet worked for Ralph Lauren. She's doing a fitting. I can connect you guys if you like. Yes, 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 please. Violet asked if it would be all right to give the young woman, the American, my Instagram handle. Of course. It was Friday, July 1st. Isn't July 1st his mother's birthday? I don't remember. But I remember there was something peculiar about July 1st that he had said in one of the previous chapters. But I don't remember if it was his mom's birthday. But I'm sure he will say. So let's continue reading. Why you keep texting me like this? I was due to leave London the next morning, heading to the home of Sir Keith Mills. I was to take part in a sailing race on Sir Keith's yacht around the Isle of Wight. Just as I was stuffing, why do they keep texting me? I'm not the police. Y'all keep texting me for. I was to take part in a sailing race on Sir Keith's yacht around the Isle of Wight. Just as I was stuffing the last few pieces into my overnight bag, I glanced at my phone. A message on Instagram from the woman, the American. Hello. She said she had got my info from Violet. She complimented my Instagram page. Beautiful photographs. Thank you. It was mostly photos of Africa. I knew she had been there because I'd studied her Instagram page too. I'd seen photos of her hanging out with gorillas in Rwanda. She said she had done some aid work there as well with children. We shared thoughts about Africa, photography, travel. Eventually, we exchanged phone numbers and migrated the conversation over to text, going late into the night. In the morning, I moved from Notcott to the car without a pause in the texting. I texted with her throughout the long drive to Sir Keith's place, continued through Sir Keith's hall. How are you doing, Sir Keith? And up the stairs and into his guest room, where I locked the door and remained holed up, texting. I sat on the bed texting like a teenager until it was time to have dinner with Sir Keith and his family. Then, after the dessert, I quickly returned to the guest room and resumed texting. Oh my God, I'm getting the jitters, guys, aren't you? I am getting the jitters of new love, fresh love, like that kind of jitter you get when you first meet somebody and you can't put the phone down and you're like texting and texting and texting. Oh my God, I feel like I've just fallen in love. I don't know about y'all guys, but that's how I feel. But let's continue because I'm excited. I don't know about y'all, but I'm excited. I couldn't type fast enough. My thumbs were cramping. There was so much to say. We had so much in common, though we came from such different worlds. She was American. I was British. She was well educated. I was decidedly not. She was free as a bird. I was in a gilded cage. And yet, none of these differences felt disqualifying or even important. On the contrary, they felt organic, energizing. The contradictions created of sense, the contradictions created a sense of, hey, I know you, but also I need to know you. Hey, I've known you forever. And hey, we have just met. But also, I've been searching for you forever. Hey, thank God you have arrived. But also, what took you so long? Sir Keith's guest room looked out onto an estuary. Many times, mid-text, I'd walk over to the window and gaze out. The view made me think of the Akavanga. It made me think also of destiny and serendipity. That convergence of river and sea, land and sky reinforced the vague sense of big things coming together. It occurred to me how uncanny, how surreal, how bizarre that this marathon conversation should have begun on July 1st of 2016, my mother's 55th birthday. I knew it. I knew it because I remember at one point he had said he had done something the 1st of July, which was his mother's birthday. And this, he says, how uncanny that this conversation would have started on July 1st, the mo- my mother's 55th birthday. Late into the night, while waiting for her next text, I tapped the American's name into Google. Now here he goes ransacking Google again. Hundreds of photos, each more dazzling. I wondered if she was Googling me too. I hoped not. Before turning out the light, I asked how long she was going to be in London. Damn, she was leaving soon. She had to get back to Canada to resume filming her show. I asked if I could see her before she left. I watched the phone, waiting for the answer, staring at the endlessly fluttering ellipses. Then, sure. Great. Now, where do we meet? I suggested my place. Your place? On a first date? I don't think so. She said, no, I didn't mean it like that. She didn't realize that being royal meant being radioactive, that I was unable to just meet at a coffee shop or a pub. Reluctant to give her a full explanation, I tried to explain obliquely that the rise, that, no wonder I call it rise, that the risk of being seen, I didn't do a good job. She suggested an alternative, Soho House at 76 Dean Street. It was her headquarters whenever she came to London. She had reserved us a table in a quiet room. No one else would be around. The table would be under her name, Meghan Markle. Here we are, guys. Here we are. Chapter 2. After texting half the night into the wee hours, I groaned when that alarm rang at dawn. Time to get on Sir Keith's boat. But I also felt grateful. A sailing race was the only way I'd be able to put down my phone, and I needed to put it down just for a spell, to collect my wits, to pace myself. Sir Keith's boat was called Invictus, homage to the games. God love him. That day it had a crew of 11, it, including one or two athletes who had actually competed in the games. The 5 hour race took us around the Needles and into the teeth of a gale. The wind was so fierce, many other boats dropped out of the race. I'd sailed before, many times. I recalled one golden holiday with Henners, trying to capsize our little laser boat for laughs, but never like this, an open sea in conditions so equally. The waves went towering. I'd never feared death before, and now I found myself thinking, please don't let me drown before my big date. Then another fear took hold, the fear of no onboard loo. I held it in for as long as I possibly could until I had no choice. I swung my body over the side into the tossing sea, and still couldn't pee. Mainly thanks to stage fright, the whole crew laughing. Finally, I went back to my post, sheepishly hung from the ropes, and peed my pants. Wow, I thought, if Miss Markle could see me now. Our boat won our class, came in second overall. Hooray, I said, barely pausing to celebrate with Sir Keith and the crew. My only concern was jumping into that water, washing the pee off my trousers, then racing back to London, where the bigger race, the ultimate race, was about to begin. The race was about to begin. He has finally met Megan and they're going out for dinner or for tea, whatever it is. They are going to this place on 76 Dean Street, whatever it's called. What's the name of the place again? It's called the Soho House on 76 Dean Street. Y'all better remember that when we do the quiz this weekend, y'all gotta remember it. But anywho, let us continue. Chapter 3. The traffic was terrible. It was Sunday night. People were streaming back into London from their weekends in the country. Plus, through Piccadilly. I had to get through Piccadilly Circus, a nightmare at the best of times. Bottlenecks, construction, accidents, gridlock. I ran into every conceivable obstacle. Again and again, my bodyguards and I would come to a full stop in the road and we'd just sit 5 minutes, 10, groaning, sweating, mentally shouting at the mass of unmoving cars. Come on! Come on! Finally, it couldn't be avoided. I texted, running a bit late, sorry. She was already there. I apologized. Horrible traffic. Her reply, okay. I told myself she might leave. I told my bodyguards she's gonna leave. As we inched towards the restaurant, I texted again, moving but still slow. Can't you just get out? How to explain? No, I couldn't. I wasn't able to go running through the streets of London. It would be like a llama. It would be like a llama running through the streets. It would make a scene, cause security nightmares. Never mind the press it would attract. If I was spotted high stepping towards Soho House, that would be the end of whatever privacy we might briefly enjoy. Also, I had 3 bodyguards with me. I couldn't ask them suddenly to take part in a track and field event. Texting wasn't the way to convey this, however, so I just didn't answer, which surely irritated her. At last I arrived, red-cheeked, puffing, sweating, half an hour late. I ran into the restaurant, into the quiet room. I arrived, red-cheeked, puffing, sweating, half an hour late. I ran into the restaurant, into the quiet room, and found her at a small sitting area on a low velvet sofa in front of a low coffee table. She looked up, smiled. I apologized profusely. I couldn't imagine many people had been late for this woman. I settled into the sofa, apologized again. She said she forgave me. She was having a beer, some sort of IPA. I asked for a Peroni. I didn't want beer, but it seemed easier. Silence. We took it all in. She was wearing a black sweater, jeans, heels. I knew nothing about clothes, but I knew she was chic. Then again, I knew she could make anything look chic, even a bivy bag. The main thing I noticed was the chasm between internet and reality. I'd seen so many photos of her from fashion shoots and TV sets, all glam and glossy. But here she was, in the flesh, no frills, no filter, and even more beautiful. Heart attack beautiful. I was trying to process this, struggling to understand what was happening in my circulatory and nervous systems. And as a result, my brain couldn't handle any more data. Conversation, pleasantries, the Queen's English, All became a challenge. So Harry became tongue tied, just sitting there with Meghan. She filled the gap. She looked about. She filled the gap. She talked about London. She was here all the time, she said. Sometimes she just left her luggage at Soho House for weeks. They stored it without question. The people there were like family. I thought, you are in London all the time? How have I never seen you? Never mind that 9 million people lived in London. All that I rarely left my house. I felt that if she was here, I should have known. I should have been informed. What brings you here so often? So often? Friends? Business? Oh, business. Acting was her main job, she said, the thing she was known for. But she had several careers: lifestyle writer, travel writer, corporate spokesperson, entrepreneur, activist, model. She had been all over the world, lived in various countries, worked for the US Embassy in Argentina. Her curriculum vitae was dizzying. All part of the plan, she said. Plan? Help people, do some good, be free. The waitress reappeared. She told us her name, Mishka. East European accent, shy smile, many tattoos. We asked about them. Mishka was more than happy to explain. She provided a needed buffer, a tapping of the brakes, a moment to take a breath. I I think she knew she was filling this role and embraced it. I loved her for it. Mishka left us and the conversation started to really flow. The initial awkwardness was gone. The warmth from our texting returned. We had each had first dates on which there was nothing to talk about, and now we both felt that special thrill when there's too much to talk about, when there isn't enough time to say all the things that needed to be said. But speaking of time, ours was up. She gathered her stuff. Sorry, I have to go. Go? So soon? I have dinner plans. If I hadn't been late, we'd have had more time. I cursed myself, got to my feet, a brief goodbye hug. I said I'd take care of all the bills, and she said in case, and she said that in that case, she'd foot the bill for thank you flowers to Violet. Peonies, she said. I laughed. Okay, goodbye, goodbye. Poof, she was gone. Compared to her, Cinderella was the queen of long goodbyes. Harry was in love. Harry had found the woman that he wasn't even dreaming of. Guys, you know that's how funny life can be. And I always wonder, some people will say, oh, I don't know why he left her. I don't know why she left him. I thought they were perfect together. Remember, you cannot stand on the outside and determine that somebody else is perfect for another person because you are not in their heads and you're not in their relationship. It's best sometimes or all the time if we just leave it be, just let it be. If two people decide to be together, leave them alone. Let them be together. Let them decide whether or not it is worth it. And if two people decide that they are going to break it off and call it a day, just leave them alone. Let them do what they want to do because it is not up to the outsiders to determine what two people feel in a relationship. There are many people who last night was Valentine's night. There are lots of people who, just for the purposes of Valentine's last night, they felt so in love and felt like it was okay to take their relationship to the next step because last night they felt in love. But they could have awoken this morning and regretted what happened last night and decided that, okay, we're just going to call it a day and just break it off. You never know. So here is Harry. We haven't read, we have heard of it before, but in the book of all the scrutiny that's going to come about with this relationship. But we can hear a man head over heels about a woman by just seeing her photograph. And sometimes I wonder if that's what happens with all these people who are in my DMs online. Is that what they are feeling? Why they stay in my DM? Sometimes, no matter how I tell them, listen, no, no, I don't think we can meet. I don't think we need to exchange numbers. And this is where it's at. It's hello, it's goodbye, it's nice to meet you. It's I'll follow you, you follow me, I follow you. That's okay, and that's where it ends. I wonder if that's what they're feeling. But my golly, they're gonna continue feeling it because it's going no further than that. But anyway, let us continue. We are on to chapter 4, and I'm excited, guys. It's now an hour and a half, but I'm going to continue. Chapter 4 of part 3. I'd made plans to meet my mate after. Now I phoned him, told him I was on my way, and half an hour later, I was barging into his house off the King's Road. He took one look at my face and said, "What's happened?" I didn't want to tell him. I kept thinking, do not tell him. Do not tell him. Do not tell him. I told him. I recounted the entire date, then pleaded, "Shit, mate, what am I gonna do?" Out came the tequila. Out came the weed. We drank and smoked and watched Inside Out, an animated movie about emotions. Perfect. I was thoroughly inside out. Then I was peacefully numb. Good weed. Good weed, dude. Delia says God plans for our life. That's true. It's just a plan it's just the universe. I mean, you might wonder why a relationship you have didn't work. It wasn't meant to be. Just let go of it and keep moving. Like, what the hell? There are 7 billion people on the earth. What are the odds that you are going to probably meet 10 or 20 people that were just not your person? They're just not. Just keep it moving. I recounted the entire date, then pleaded, "Shit, mate, what am I going to do?" Out came the tequila. Out came the weed. We drank and smoked and watched Inside Out, an animated movie about emotions. Perfect. I was thoroughly inside out. Then I was peacefully numb. Good weed, dude. My phone rang. Oh shit. I held it up to my mate. It's her. Who? Her. She wasn't just calling. She was FaceTiming. Hello. Hello. What are you up to? Oh, I'm with my mate. What's that in the background? Oh, her. Are you watching cartoons? No, I mean, yeah, kind of. It's outside though. Oops. I moved to a quiet corner of the flat. She was back at her hotel. She had washed her face. I said, "God, I love your freckles." She took a quick breath. Every time she was photographed, she said, they airbrushed out her freckles. That's insane. They are beautiful. She said she was sorry she had to run. She didn't want me to think she hadn't enjoyed meeting me. I asked, oh my God. Oh my God, guys. You all believe I forgot something. I forgot something from work yesterday. And it just came back to mind. That ever happened to y'all? Yeah, it just came back to my mind. Like, ships, I didn't do something. Oh well. Oh well, too bad. The day's gone. Let's move right along. That's insane. They are beautiful. She said she was sorry she had to run. She didn't want me to think that she hadn't enjoyed meeting me. I asked when I could see her again. Tuesday? I leave on Tuesday. Oh, tomorrow? Pause. Okay, 4th of July. We set another date back at Soho House. Welcome into the live, guys. You are in the channel of Trevasense Unstoppable. I want to say thanks to you all for stopping by. I sincerely appreciate you all. I hope you are enjoying listening to me read the book Spare, written by Prince Harry. I hope you're enjoying it as much as I am enjoying reading it for us. Let us continue. We are on to chapter 5 of part 3. She spent that whole day at Wimbledon cheering on her friend Serena Williams from Serena's box. She texted me after the final set as she raced back to her hotel, then texted me again while she changed, then texted me again as she was rushing to Soho House. This time I was already there, waiting, smiling, proud of myself. She walked in, wearing a pretty blue sundress with white pinstripes. She was aglow. Joseph, what's up? I stood and said, I bear gifts. A pink box. I held it forward. She took it. What's this? No, no, don't shake it. We both laughed. She opened the box. Cupcakes. Red, white, and blue cupcakes, to be exact, in honor of Independence Day. I said something about the Brits having a very different view of Independence Day from the Yanks. But, oh well. She said they were looking amazing. Our waitress from date 1 appeared, Mishka. She seemed genuinely happy to see us, to discover that there was a date 2. She could tell what was happening. She got that she was an eyewitness to our forever, that she'd forever be part of our personal mythology. After bringing us a round of drinks, she went away and didn't return for a long time. When she did, we were deep in the middle of a kiss. They kissed on the second date, guys. No, it wasn't meds. I had this thing that it wasn't meds, darling. I had this thing that I have to do, like assign the nurses to the patients, to each patient, assign each staff member to each patient. And boy, I was so busy. I totally forgot. And it just came to me. I'm sure I'm sure the nurse who took over from me last night did the one for last night. But then mine for yesterday, it's gonna be blank and empty. Oh well, I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. All right. Yesterday was a day full of shits anyway. Uh those I try not to forget. I am very keen about not forgetting those. But anyway. But sometimes little paperwork here and there, but not those. And I didn't have to do those yesterday anyway, so but that's okay. Let's move it right along. Harry is in love. Let me see, where am I? They just kissed. They just kissed and I sort of lost it, guys. They just kissed, so I kind of lost it a little bit. Come to think of it about it, it's been a very long time since I hadn't had a passionate kiss. But hey, I'm not longing now. I'm not longing. I'm just saying, guys. I'm just saying. But anyway, here is Harry kissing on the second date. When she did, we were deep in the middle of a kiss. All right. Oh, not our first. Oh, so they'd already kissed. Oh, darn. He said, not our first. God. Oh my God. Oh, wow. Not our first. Boy, they hit it off fast. No waiting, no nothing. Okay. Megan, holding my shirt collar, was pulling me towards her. Damn, the girl knows what she wants. Holding me close. When she saw Mishka, she released me immediately, and we all laughed. Excuse us, no problem. Another round? Again, the conversation flowed, crackled. Burgers came and went uneaten. I felt an overwhelming sense of overture, prelude, kettle drums, act 1. And yet, and yet, also a sense of ending, a phase of my life. The first half was coming to a close. Wow! As the night neared its end, we had a very frank discussion. There was no way around it. She put a hand on my cheek and said, "What are we gonna do? We have to give this a proper go." What does that even mean? I live in Canada. I'm going back tomorrow. We'll meet a long visit this summer. My summer is already planned. Mine too. Surely in the whole summer we could find one small spot of time. She shook her head. She was doing the full eat, pray, love. Eat what now? Well, y'all are kissing, so y'all gonna be moving on to eating something. I don't know what. But let me pull up these socks here because I'm getting ready to hear what this eating is about. Oh my gosh, guys. Eat what now? Okay. All right. Let us continue. The book. Oh, sorry. Not really big on books. I felt intimidated. She was so the opposite of me. She read. She was cultured. Not important. She said, not important, she said with a laugh. The point was, she was going with 3 girlfriends to Spain, and then with 2 girlfriends to Italy, and then. She looked at her calendar. I looked at mine. She raised her eyebrows and smiled. What is this? Tell me. Actually, there's one small window. Recently, she explained, a classmate had advised her not to be so structured about her summer of eating, praying, and loving. Keep one week open. This classmate said, leave room for magic. So she had been saying no to all kinds of things, reserving one week, even turning down a very dreamy bike trip through the lavender fields of southern France. I, I looked at my calendar and said, I have one week open as well. Oh my gosh, guys! What if they are the same week? What if? Is it possible? How crazy would that be? It was the same week. Oh my God, this is what you call serendipity. Oh my God. I suggested we spend it in Botswana. I gave her my best Botswana pitch. Birthplace of all mankind, most sparsely populated nation on earth, true Garden of Eden, with 40% of the land given over to nature, plus the largest number of elephants of any nation on earth. Above all, it was the place where I'd found myself, where I always refound myself, where I always felt close to magic. If she was interested in magic, she should come with me, experience it with me, camp under the stars in the middle of nowhere, which is actually everywhere. She stared. I realized it's crazy, she said. But all of this is obviously crazy. Yes! I'm going to say Eat, Pray, Love is the Julia Robert movie where she just hang out and have some me time, discover herself. Look like I need one of those things to discover myself. Because I don't think I found myself in this world yet, you know. Maybe I did and I lost it again. But I don't know. I don't know. But I'm just enjoying this. Thank you guys. There are currently 10 million people in the place. Don't forget to hit that like button. Don't forget to share out the stream. Invite your friends and friends and friends to come on over. We are reading the book Spare, written by Prince Harry. We are going to read just a few more chapters before we end for today. Chapter 6 of part 3. We couldn't fly together. For one thing, I was already going to be in Africa. I was scheduled to be in Malawi doing conservational work with African parks. But I didn't tell her the other reasons. We couldn't risk being seen together, the press finding out about us. Not yet. So she finished her Eat, Pray, Love thing, then flew from London to Johannesburg, then to Mon, where I'd asked Tej to meet her. I wanted to do it myself, but of course, couldn't without creating a scene. After an 11-hour odyssey, including a 3-hour layover in Johannesburg and a hot car ride to the house, Megan had every right to be grumpy, but she wasn't. Bright-eyed, eager, she was ready for anything and looking like perfection. She wore cut-off jean shorts, well-loved hiking boots, a crumpled Panama hat that I'd seen her in on Instagram. As I opened the gate to Tej and Mike's house, I handed her a chicken salad sandwich wrapped in cling film. Thought you might be hungry. I suddenly wished I had flowers, a present, something besides this measly sandwich. This measly sandwich. We hugged and it was awkward. Not just because of the sandwich, but the unavoidable suspense. We had talked and FaceTimed countless times since our first date, but this was all new and different and a bit strange. Boy, this book tells all. So nice to understand the run-up of their life together. When you want something bad enough, all the universe conspires together to make it happen. Exactly. Pueblo Coelho the Alchemist. Well, that sound like a book. Have I read that book? I don't know. I've read so many books. Sometimes I hardly even remember that I've read the book until I start reading the book again. And I'm like, oh, I've read this before. Da 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 da. This is what happened in it. Da 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 da. Okay. Okay, so let us continue. We were both thinking the same things. Is it going to translate to another continent? And what if it doesn't? I asked about the flight. She laughed about the Air Botswana crew. They were big fans of Suits. So they'd ask her to pose for a photo. Yeah, I said, thinking shit. If one member of the crew posted that photo, the cat would be out of the bag. We all jumped into a 3-bench truck, Mike driving, my bodyguards trailing, and set off. Straight into the sun. After an hour of tarmac roads, we were facing 4 hours of dirt tracks. To make the time go faster, I pointed out every flower, plant, and bird. That's a francolin. That's a hornbill. It's like Zazu from The Lion King. That's a lilac-breasted roller, and he seems to be doing his mating display. After a respectful period of time, I held her hand. Next, when the road got flatter, I ventured a kiss. Come on, Harry. It's the day after Valentine. Well, it's a late Valentine for me, guys. It's a late Valentine for me. I'm just gonna engross myself in what happened between Meghan and Harry and get that feeling, and that will be enough for me. Next, let us continue. Where did I stop? It said, after a respectful period of time, I held her hand. Next, when the road got flatter, I ventured for a kiss. Just as we both remembered, my bodyguards, 50 meters behind us, pretended not to see. As we got further into the bush, as we neared the Okavango, the fauna began changing. There! Look! Oh my God! Is that a giraffe? And over there, look! A family of warthogs. We saw a breeding herd of elephants. Dads, moms, babies. Hi, guys! We started along a fire break road, and the birds were going nuts, which sent a weird shiver down my spine. Lions in the area. No way, she said. Something told me to look back. Sure enough, a flickering tail. I shouted for Mike to stop. He hit the brakes, threw the truck into reverse. There, standing right before us, a big fellow, Daddy. And there, 4 youngsters lounging under a shady bush with their moms. Trev, you are in love by... Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Oh my God. We admired them for a while, then drove on. Shortly before dusk, we arrived at a small satellite camp Tej and Mike had made up. I carried our bags to a bell tent beside a huge sausage tree. We were on the edge of a big forest, looking down a gentle slope to a river, and beyond a floodplain teeming with life. Megan, whom I was now calling Meg, or sometimes just M, was stunned. The vivid colors, the pure, fresh air. She had traveled, but she had never seen anything like this. This was the world before the world was made. She opened her small suitcase. She needed to get something. Here it comes, I thought. The mirror, the hair dryer, the makeup kit, the fluffy duvet, the dozen pairs of shoes. I was shamefully stereotyping. American actress equals diva. To my shock and delight, there was nothing in that suitcase but bare essentials. Shorts, ripped jeans, and snacks, and a yoga mat. We saw we sat in canvas chairs, watched the sunset and the moon rise. I whipped up some bush cocktails, whiskey with a splash of river water. Teach offered Meg a glass of wine and showed her how to cut the end of a plastic water bottle and turn it into a goblet. We told stories, laughed a lot. Then Teach and Mike cooked us a lovely dinner. We ate around the fire, staring at the stars. At bedtime, I guided Meg through the darkness to the tent. Where's the flashlight? Meg asked. You mean the torch? We both laughed. The tent was very small and very Spartan. If she had been expecting some glampy trip, she was now fully divested of what fantasy was. We lay down inside on our backs, feeling the moment, reckoning with the moment. Guys, me feel like me gonna lay down on my back too. And feel the moment and reckon the moment. Are you all laying on your backs, guys? All y'all did that last night. I can't stand y'all. Y'all did that last night. Oh, ho, ho. You all are not funny. Oh my gosh. That sounds like the voice of envy, doesn't it, guys? All of Uno was laying on Uno backs last night. Uno are nasty. Let me continue. Oh my gosh. Let me continue, guys. We lay down inside on our backs, feeling the moment, reckoning with the moment. Oh, oh my God, Delia said, Trev, I've never studied with anything but my music. This book is the sweetest music, and I'm studying. Girl, I'm glad. I'm glad you are enjoying it. I'm so glad you're enjoying it, my sister. It's my absolute pleasure. And I hope you all are enjoying this book, guys. I am enjoying it. Really, 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 really enjoying it. Let's continue while I'm on my back. There were separate bedrolls, the result of much worry and many conversation with Tej. Didn't want to be presumptuous. We pushed them together, lay shoulder to shoulder. We stared at the roof, listening, talking, watching moon shadows flutter across the nylon. Then a loud munching sound. Meg bolted upright. What's that? Elephant, I said. Just one, from what I could tell, just outside, eating peacefully from the shrubs around us. She won't hurt us. She won't. No, she won't. Soon after, the tent shook from a loud roar. Lions! Are we going to be okay? Yes, don't worry. She lay down, put her head on my chest. Oh my God. Oh my God. She put her head on his chest. Trust me, I told her. I'll keep you safe. Oh my God. God. Oh wow. Chapter 7. Let me cover up my legs them ears so cause I'm kind of getting cold. This is too much for me. Chapter Chapter 7, guys. You all know I can't put this book down even if I wanted to, right? Chapter 7. I woke just before dawn, unzipped the tent quietly, tiptoed out. The stillness of a Botswana morning. I watched a flock of pygmy geese fly upriver, watched impala and lekwu having their morning drink at the water's edge. The bird song was incredible. As the sun came up, I gave thanks for this day, then walked down to the main camp for a piece of toast. When I returned, I found Meg stretched out on a yoga mat beside the river. Warrior pose, downward dog, child's pose. When she finished, I announced, breakfast is served. We ate under an acacia tree, and she asked excitedly what the plan was. I have surprises. Oh my gosh! Beginning with a morning drive, we hopped into Mike's old doorless truck, went barreling into the bush, sun on our cheeks, wind in our hair. We can't even talk, guys. I'm getting tongue tied. Anywho, we hopped into Mike's old doorless truck, went barreling into the bush, sun on our cheeks, wind in our hair. We cruised through streams, bounced over hills, flushed lions out of deep grass. Thanks for making such a racket last night, boys. We came upon a large group of giraffes grazing the treetops, their eyelashes like rakes. They nodded good morning. Not everyone was so friendly. Strolling by a vast watering hole, we saw a cloud of dust just up ahead. A grumpy warthog confronted us. He retreated when we stood our ground. Hippos also snorted belligerently. We waved, retreated, jumped back into the truck. We interrupted a pack of wild dogs trying to fetch a dead buffalo from the two, trying to filch a dead buffalo from two lionesses. It wasn't going well. We left them to it. Who is texting me? Oh, yeah. So if you're enjoying the reading, why aren't you saying anything? Why are you texting me? Oh, go kick rocks. Anywho, that's my friend texting me to tell me she's on the live and she's enjoying the reading, but she never say a word when she's on the live. It's always afterwards. She goes, "Oh, Trev, I was on your live." Yada yada yada. Go kick rocks. Anywho, let me continue. Okay. Let us move on. Not everyone was so friendly. Strolling by a vast watering hole, we saw a cloud of dust just up ahead. A grumpy warthog confronted us. He retreated when we stood our ground. Hippos also snorted belligerently. We waved, retreated, jumped back into the truck. We interrupted a pack of wild dogs trying to filch a dead buffalo from two lionesses. It wasn't going well. We left them to it. The grass was golden, swaying in the wind. Dry season, I said to Meg. The air was warm, clean, a joy to breathe. We broke out a picnic lunch, washed it down with a couple of Savannah ciders. Afterwards, we went for a swim in an estuary off the river, keeping our distance from the crocs. Seriously, stay away from the dark water. I told her this. I told her this was the cleanest, purest water in the world because it was filtered by all the papyrus, even sweeter than the water in the ancient bath at Balmoral, though better not to drink of Balmoral. The anniversary was only weeks away. At dusk, we lay across the bonnet of the truck, watching the sky. When the bats came out, we went to find Tej and Mike. We turned on music, laughed and talked and sang, and ate dinner again around the fire. Meg told us a bit about her life, about growing up in Los Angeles, about her struggles to become an actress, doing quick changes between auditions in her rundown SUV or on which the doors didn't always work. She was forced to enter through the boot. She laughed and talked about her growing portfolio as an entrepreneur, her lifestyle website, which had tens of thousands of readers. In her free time, she did philanthropic work. She was especially fierce about women's issues. I was fascinated, hanging on to every word, while in the background I heard a faint drumbeat. She's perfect. She's perfect, Harry. She's perfect for you. She is perfect. Charles and Cress often mentioned my Jekyll and Hyde existence. Happy Spike in Botswana, tightly wound Prince Harry in London. I'd never been able to synthesize the two, and it bothered them, bothered me. But with this woman, I thought I could do it. I could be Happy Spike all the time. Except she didn't call me Spike. By now, Megan had taken to calling me Has. Like his friends called him Has. Now she's calling him Has. Oh my God, they are in love. Every moment of that week was a revelation and a blessing. And yet, every moment also dragged us closer to the wrenching minute when we'd have to say goodbye. There was no way around it. Meg had to get back. I had to fly to the capital, Gaborone, to meet the president of Botswana to discuss conservation issues. After which, I was embarking on a three-phase lads trip, months in the planning. I could cancel, I told Meg, but my mates would never forgive me. We said goodbye. Meg began to cry. Oh, when will I see you again? Soon, not soon enough. No, not nearly. Oh my Oh my gosh, guys. Tish put an arm around her and promised to take good care of her until her flight, several hours away. Then one last kiss and a wave. Mike and I jumped into his white cruiser and headed to Mon Airport, where we climbed into a small prop plane and thought it and though it broke my heart, we flew away. Oh my gosh, Harry, the perfect gentleman there, and Megan, they're in love, guys. Oh my gosh. Love is in the air. Oh my God, guys, I am going to leave the suspense right here, right now. We have been here now for 2 hours. I have eaten with Harry. I have gone through the woods of through the the woods, the forest of Botswana, on the plains. We have gone to the Akavanga. We have gone to the poppy fields. We have gone all over the place with Harry. And this book has taken us everywhere. Now that he's in love, him and Megan have slept in a tent. They didn't say what they did, but they slept in the tent. And you know they probably are not going to tell us. But assuming they did a little touchy touchy. You know what I mean? They did a little touchy touchy. They were already kissing and crying. When he told us about the kiss that we thought was the first, it wasn't the first kiss. So when he gonna tell us about the dugu dugu, they probably all right. You all know what I'm gonna say. You all know what I'm talking about, right? All right. Oh my gosh, I love it. I love it. I love it. And guys, we are going to end right here for today so that I can go take care of other things. I am sincerely grateful to everybody who is on the live, who came into the live, who have been listening to this book. And I see that many persons are actually going back and listening from part one. And I'm glad I put this book in the playlist so that you all can go just turn the playlist on and just listen to it rather than jumping between these videos and my other videos where I talk a lot about, where I do a lot of different lives and stuff like that. I have put this in the playlist so you can listen to this like I'm going to do with my other videos, but I just haven't had the time yet to put everything in a playlist and stuff. I will one day. Don't worry about it, guys. Listen to what you can, whatever you can't listen. It's it's fine with Aunt Trev. Aunt Trev ain't too worried about it all. Yeah, but I thank you all either way for coming into my channel. For those of you who have subscribed, I see I've gotten some new subscribers, and I sincerely appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you all so much for coming. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for listening. Thank you for the support. The support means a lot to me. And guys, as I say before, and I say to you many times, that you are my therapist. It is because of you why I come here, and you all would never ever understand how therapeutic it has been for me to come here and talk to you all, read for you all, do whatever it is that I'm doing, and share it with you all. You all will never know how important that has been for me mentally and emotionally. And I sincerely appreciate it. I have shared with y'all, but there is just so much to unpack that goes on, that's been going on with me, like behind the scenes. Y'all would never know unless I told y'all. So I want to thank you all again for coming with me and staying with me. I sincerely appreciate it. So go ahead today, my friends, and make the best of your post-Valentine Day. When we come back tomorrow morning, we will continue the reading of Spare, the book written by Prince Harry. We are now on to part 3, where he has met the love of his life, and their story is just beginning. When we come back tomorrow, we're going to move on to chapter 8 of part 3. Once again, I want to say thanks to everybody who came in, Cad and Abuse and Joseph and AG and Jordan and Marlon and Winsome and the amazing M&G, and I can't remember everybody, but everybody else who came into the live, who stopped by the live and just spent a few minutes with me. I sincerely appreciate it. But that's going to be it from me for today, my friends. Until next time, this is Trev from Trevessence, where your journey matters. Have yourselves a great day, guys.